Prokinetics can be amazingly helpful for decreasing symptoms of gas, bloating, and indigestion, but here's the problem. There are a million of these things on the market, and each company says that theirs is the best. So how are you going to choose an Herbal Prokinetic for you? Well, luckily for you, I'm kind of a nerd, and I've been tracking data from my Prokinetic Speed Dating Challenge for many years. And in this video, I'm going to tell you the stats. I'm going to tell you statistically which one most people end up liking, and which one is kind of a flop and maybe don't waste your money on. Stay tuned if you want to know which Herbal Prokinetic is best for IBS and SIBO. First, I want to quickly define what a prokinetic actually is, though. There is some likelihood that we're going to have new folks watching this video. Maybe you're even new to the vortex that is IBS and SIBO here on the internet, and you're just learning this term for the first time. So the 30-second explainer that could be a lot longer and more complicated is that a prokinetic is something that helps you regulate motility. Notice I'm not saying that it stimulates motility, because I think that paints an incorrect picture that these things would be unhelpful for somebody with diarrhea. And that couldn't be further from the truth. I have used Herbal Prokinetics with tremendous clinical success in patients with IBS or SIBO or both who have diarrhea, constipation, or even normal bowel patterns, and they want to work on other symptoms like bloating, gas, abdominal distension, and post-meal fullness. So no matter what your IBS symptoms or your SIBO symptoms might look like, I think that these are going to be a really important class of supplements for you to try out. But like I said, there's a million of them. And I know that that's really frustrating for somebody who's just trying to figure out what they need to do to feel better. And it was frustrating to me too as a clinician. I initially examined Prokinetics and I thought, wow, the way that they work really matches up with what we need to do with IBS and SIBO patients. I really think this is going to be tremendously helpful. And I sent a few people home with a bottle of MotilPro, crossed my fingers, and all of them came back and said, nope, didn't do a damn thing, didn't work. And I was scratching my head. I was like, man, this makes so much sense why this would work. Why didn't it work? And to be honest, I gave up for a little while. I just didn't use Prokinetics for maybe about a year. But there was something in the back of my head, some little voice that said, no, these are really powerful, useful tools. You just need to think about it in a different way. And at some point, I just got frustrated and said, you know what, the heck with it. Integrative Therapeutics says that theirs is the best. Pure Encapsulations says that theirs is the best. Microbiome Lab says that theirs is the best. I'm sick of it. I'm just going to have people decide for themselves. And I started making up these little tester baggies. So what I've done for years now is I've gotten little teeny tiny Ziploc bags and I've sent people home with a 1-week supply. And I basically tell people, you know what? I don't know. You tell me what you like and then we're going to go from there. And I've been pleasantly surprised to find that the majority of my patients report back that at least one, if not more, of these Prokinetics really, really help with their symptoms. So it's a total crapshoot, and acknowledging like, I have no way in this video to tell you which one to take, really. I can't base it off of your symptoms. I can't base it on your diagnoses. I have had people, for example, in FODMAP Freedom, I remember one time we had 2 students come to the group Q&A, and they were both delighted to report that they had found their Prokinetic and it worked great for them, and they were pooping normally and their bloating was gone. But one person had previously had diarrhea, and one person had previously had constipation, and they had fallen in love with the same product. So I can't really recommend Prokinetics based on, you know, this one's good for diarrhea, this one's good for constipation. I don't think it works like that. These things are not intrinsically speeding you up or slowing you down like an anti-diarrheal or a laxative might. They're just bringing you closer to homeostasis. They're bringing you closer to center and giving you optimal function. So the cool thing is that it's a total crapshoot. You could fall in love with any of these products. The frustration is it's a total crapshoot and you could fall in love with any number of these products. But shy of doing my Prokinetic Speed Dating Challenge yourself, this is the best I could do. And I'm going to share with you the top 6 as well as some honorable mentions that most of my patients and students wind up choosing when they do this Prokinetic Speed Dating Challenge. Now, getting into the nerdy details of it all, I want to share one important thing first, which is that the data that I have today is so much better and robust and stronger compared to the first video I made in 2020. So now I have 4 times as many data points, 4 times as many people who have gone through this challenge, and I think that the numbers I'm going to present today are that much better and more usable and robust and accurate than the original video in 2020. Now, for those of you who have followed my channel now for a while, you might remember some of the stats from the previous video. I am going to reference like, ooh, this one did well this time, but not last time, or vice versa. If you're new and you haven't watched the other video, don't worry about it. You don't have to watch it. You're going to get everything you need from this video, but just for like channel lore sake, I am going to reference that occasionally for the old folks who have been here for a while. Now, let's get into the number one pick slot. Da-na-na-na-na. Drum roll, you can tell I'm not a drummer. It is still Motility Activator. Shocker, shocker. This was the landslide victor in the first video in 2020, and it still is the winner by a pretty fair amount this time, but not quite as much of a landslide victory in this bigger data set. So in the initial video, I was shocked to report that Motility Activator was the fan favorite 50% of the time, which was insane. Now, 29% of the time. So it's still a pretty solid victory considering that I have people speed date 9 different Prokinetics. It's pretty freaking impressive that this one comes out on top 29% of the time. But it's not quite the 50-50 crapshoot, might as well try it and see what happens that I initially presented in 2020. So let's write that one in the number one spot. And it's worth noting that most of these are really easy to come by. I'm going to link the links down on Fullscript down below. So if you're trying to like follow along and write down all the names and the brands, don't worry about it. This one is Motility Activator from Integrative Therapeutics. But if you go to the description, I'll link them in Fullscript. There's one that I'll tell you about that's a little bit trickier to get your hands on, unfortunately. I'm still going to link it in Fullscript, but there's a little bit of a caveat. But nonetheless, if you wanted to go order this right now, you certainly could. Or if you have a Fullscript account with another provider, you could get it through that channel as well. But Motility Activator coming in at the number one spot. Now, to move on to our number two, I'm not going to do a drum roll every time. That's just going to be exhausting. Let me find my, my lucky rat tail up here. It is my brainchild, actually. And I'll explain what that means, but Acetal CH Active from Apex Energetics comes in at the number two spot at a whopping 21%. So this one is hot on the heels of Motility Activator, which is really cool and really frustrating for two different reasons. Let me just write this down. Acetal CH. I'm going to just call it Acetal CH. No, I might as well just write the whole thing. I was going to get lazy and only abbreviate it. Okay, Acetal CH Active, Apex Energetics. So it's really cool because just for like an ego strokey thing for me, I'm the one who figured out this is Prokinetics. So it's not marketed as a Prokinetic, it's not sold, that's not how it was developed. This was developed as a memory aid, memory brain kind of boosting supplement, and it's wonderful for that purpose. But I'm the one, I think at least, I'm the only one I know of, who put two and two together and realized acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter that this is trying to boost, is the neurotransmitter of the vagus nerve. So put two and two together, you get the gut-brain axis and the vagus nerve fired up, and you're going to have a prokinetic effect. So it tickles me on the one hand that this is the number two spot. However, it's frustrating for me and more so for you because this is the one that's really hard to get your hands on. Apex is really finicky about who can get their stuff, and you have to have a prescriber's order for it or like a recommendation in Fullscript to get this. So it's on Fullscript, and I'm going to link it for you down below, but you have to have a recommendation. And honestly, it's just not practical for me to issue recommendations for everybody for this product. So you're going to be either limited to not trying this one, or if you have another channel that you could use Fullscript with, like another provider or a naturopath, you could certainly order it that way. But I'm not going to be able to globally offer this one to everybody on YouTube, which is a little bit unfortunate. Now, I will say you can find this one on Amazon, but it's astronomically more expensive. I forget what the price was last time I looked, but it's way, way overpriced, like way beyond what Fullscript sells it for. And you're not supposed to sell Apex stuff on Amazon, so I don't even know if it's a real Apex product, if it's counterfeit or it's expired. So I don't know if I would really recommend the Amazon route, honestly, but some of you might wish to try that. I don't know, but Acetal CH Active coming in at the number two spot. Moving on. Oh, shoot. Okay, well, there we go. Coming in, awkwardly enough, SIBOMMC comes in at the number three spot. This one surprised me very pleasantly too, because this one didn't rank super, super high in the first video. It's kind of like an underdog coming up into the top three in my mind. But this one has come in at the number three spot at 14%. So 14% of people end up really liking the SIBOMMC formula. Also, you got to hand it to them for smart marketing. They put MMC and SIBO right in the title of the product, so of course everybody's going to want it. But yeah, SIBOMMC coming in at number 3. Now of note, I will say this is one of several products that contains an ingredient called 5-HTP. Not everybody super loves 5-HTP. Some people think it's the greatest thing in the whole wide world. But if you have ever had an adverse reaction to an SSRI medication, or like a serotonin syndrome, serotonin storm kind of thing, I would not try any of the products that have 5-HTP because there's a high likelihood that you're really going to hate those, and it's going to give you a milder version of the same symptoms if you were to try them. So just keep that in mind. But SIBOMMC coming in at number 3. All right, moving on to number 3, we have SIBOMMC rounding out the top 3 on the pedestal here. So SIBOMMC was kind of an underdog. It didn't perform super well in my initial testing, but again, it was a much smaller data set. Now I have more robust information, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that this little guy came into the top 3 at about 14% of people ending up falling in love with that one. This is the one, incidentally, that the 2 students came to the Q&A and they both were like, oh my God, I've fallen in love. It's the best thing ever. My tummy is flat. I'm pooping great. This is amazing. And one had diarrhea, one had constipation. Incidentally, it was this particular product that they had both fallen in love with, which I thought was pretty funny. So SIBOMMC by priority 1 coming in the number 3 spot. Also, you really have to hand it to them for the marketing department naming this one. They put SIBO and MMC both in the name. So of course, everybody's going to want to get it, right? I just thought that was really clever marketing. Now, moving on to the number 4 spot, and we've got GI Motility Complex. This one really tickles me a little bit too, because this was the brand new kid on the block when I published that first video in 2020. And I remember saying, hey guys, I just started using this one. I don't have any data on it. I don't know how it's going to perform. I'll let you know. Well, this is now me coming back a few years later and letting you know, but this one actually makes it into the top 4 with 7.5%, which doesn't sound that impressive until you think about it. Again, you know, it's still beating out a lot of other reputable products like MotilPro, for example, and it's a nice looking little formula. Now this one I am going to shorten just a little bit. GI Mot Comp. And that again is at 7.5%. Now this one's a little bit interesting, as is the next one in the lineup, which I might as well pull down now, which is MegaGuard from Microbiome Labs. Now, I have a couple of things to say about these 2 in particular. So if you look at the formulas for some of these products, they look really similar. So if you were to compare these 3, for example, Motility Activator, our number 1 pick, is just 2 ingredients, ginger and artichoke. That's it. Artichoke leaf and ginger rhizome, that is the entire formula. Then MegaGuard, same 2 ingredients, but they added licorice to it. Similarly, same 2 initial ingredients, artichoke and ginger, but they added some powdered apple cider vinegar to it. Now you would think, given how similar they are, just with the addition of one ingredient or the other, you would think there would be a pattern where like people who like Motility Activator tend to also like these 2 products or vice versa. Nope. No pattern whatsoever. Again, we can't go based off symptoms. We can't go, there's no pattern. There's just statistics. That's all I can present here. So it's really peculiar. And I share that because I think some people probably are going to try Motility Activator first. And they're going to be like, you know, and the, 71% of people who don't like Motility Activator, they're going to be like, oh man, that's a bummer. And they're going to look at the formulas and they're going to think, oh, I'm not going to like these either, so I might as well go to a different product. That does not appear to be true. Just because you didn't like one does not mean that you won't fall in love with one of the other ones. It's really weird. I can't explain it, but it is what it is. So let's see, rounding out the top 5 there. Where'd my pen go? And we've got MegaGuard, and this one is coming in at 6%. Now, I will say, sometimes I will have people try this one early on if they have gastritis or a lot of GERD. And the rationale, yes, it has ginger, which can be a little bit irritating, but the licorice can be really soothing. So sometimes you get this balancing act with MegaGuard specifically that's really nice. So I think that one might just edge out the others ever so slightly if there is gastritis afoot. Or you could certainly add in DGL licorice or some other ingredients on the side. in a different product, and you could try to tackle it that way too. Now, rounding out the top 6 that I wanted to put here on the board, so to speak, and actually MotilPro makes the cut. I was surprised. So this was the least favorite pick last time, and I was cracking up about it because this is like the OG. Anybody who's been around and knows about Prokinetics, this was the first one on the market. Well, minus like Iberogast, I guess. This was the first one in the functional space. This company has a lot of powerful marketing, and they're a reputable company, so a lot of functional practitioners use this particular product. And honestly, I don't think we should be doing that. I think that we should be shifting to some of these other products as a whole. Oh, did I? No, I did write the 6%. Let me write this down real quick. So this is MotilPro from Pure Encapsulations, and that's coming in at 5%. So barely making it on the board. So look at these numbers. You can tell, is this? No, it's not going to balance. You can tell the top 3 really are whooping everybody else, right? Like these 3 are pretty darn close to each other, and they're barely on the board by comparison. So if you're going to try a Prokinetic, I would definitely go with one of the top 3. But again, this one kind of cracks me up because this is the one that everybody used, and everybody continues to use in my observation, and this is one that hardly ever gets picked. So I don't think we should be relying on this particular product. It's not a bad product. I'm just saying that this is one that not a lot of people pick statistically, so this should certainly not be your first go-to if you're going to try out a Prokinetic and judge if this is going to help you. And now I present the honorable mentions category. First up, coming in at number 7, a very unimpressive run, but still it does make it in the running, is Prokine. Prokine really surprised me actually, because this was the 2nd place prize winner in my initial video, and it has fallen in the ranks quite a bit down to number 7. Only 2.5% of people ended up choosing this product, which really shocked me after its strong run initially. Now, I don't know why that is, other than the fact that, like I said, I have a much bigger data set this time, so I think the numbers are more accurate. Maybe it was fluky that so many people liked Prokine in the first place. But yes, Prokine didn't even make the board this time. It comes in dead last as far as the more established products that I've been testing for a while. There are 2 other honorable mentions, though, that I wanted to mention at this point in the video. And the reason they're honorable mentions is not because they're performing poorly per se, but because they are still the new kids on the block. And I don't really have strong enough data yet to judge them one way or another. But I think that they look good in different respects. So the first one is the newest kid on the block as far as my process goes, and that is MMC Restore by Gaia Herbs. I have had a few people already fall in love with this product, so I'm really excited to see how it performs. Also, the formula is quite a bit different than a lot of the other ones. As I mentioned, most of them are very dominant on ginger or artichoke or both. This one, not so much. It's got fennel, bitter orange peel, gentian root, magnolia. It's very, very different than the other formulas, which excites me a little bit. I'm very curious to see where this one goes. But I only added this to the lineup in the last maybe 6 months, I would say. So it's way too early to really judge it compared to the others. But already, you know, when I was kind of crunching these numbers, already like 2 or 3% of people are choosing this one. So even with only a few runs to go off of, it's already getting close to or beating Prokine, which is pretty wild because I've been testing Prokine the whole time. So Gaia Herbs, MMC Restore, very intrigued by this one. I don't have data to support that curiosity yet though. And the last honorable mention that I wanted to talk about is lion's mane. So I usually use a product from the brand Real Mushrooms, which again, you've got to give it to them for the marketing department because that automatically insinuates that there are fake mushrooms elsewhere. But Real Mushrooms is a good brand, and I have been using their lion's mane for a few years. The funny thing is, I only just thought to add this to my spreadsheet, so I don't really have data on this one yet, but I'm going to start tracking it a little bit more because I do have people try this one after they have tried all the other Herbal Prokinetics. And the reason I do that is a couple-fold. A, I do think it has a Prokinetic-like effect, but I think it works differently than the others. And I have everybody do the first batch of all these other ones first, which all kind of work similarly in my mind. I think that a lot of these are working by enhancing digestion or enhancing bile flow. If you look at like the ginger and artichoke formulas, for example, they're really heavy on bile-moving herbs. So I think that a lot of these are acting as a prokinetic by stimulating bile flow or digestion. This one's different though. This one appears to be a different mechanism. And the best way I could explain it is that some brilliant person, I don't know who to credit for this, had the epiphany and said, hey, if lion's mane is good for the neurons up here, maybe it's also good for the neurons down here. And that's exactly what I have seen. So oftentimes I will have people pick one of the Herbal Prokinetics that they like. And if they also like lion's mane, I will have them take this too for a couple of months. And I think that the way that it's working is that rather than directly regulating or stimulating motility like the other products, I think that this is just helping the nervous system get healthier so that you can reap the benefit of a healthy nervous system, one of which is having good, healthy motility. So this one's a little bit of rounded about Prokinetic, but I have been seeing really great clinical outcomes with this product. It's just, I was a knucklehead and I wasn't tracking it up until this point. So it's not on the board yet, but similarly with my most recent group of FODMAP Freedom students, I've already seen it get on the board and it's giving Prokine a run for its money, also coming in at a couple of percent. Now, for those of you data nerds there at home, some of you might be adding up the math and thinking, lady, all these numbers that you're telling us have not added up to 100% yet, so what gives? And I'm glad you asked. So there are also two other scenarios that I would like to share with you. There was 4% of people that I polled or wrote notes on that they couldn't even choose. Like several of these products really, really helped them, and either they could not give a ranking to their favorite because they were all kind of tied, or they had so many that they liked that it was just messy to try to rank it all. So I remember I had one person, 5 out of the 9, she loved. And that's really cool that 4% of people, just any Prokinetic, any of them would help them. When that particular situation arises, I usually tell them, all right, think through which one is cheapest, right? Like if they all work, just go with the cheapo one. Also, are there any with tastes that you find off-putting? So for example, the Gaia product is pretty bitter. So not a lot of people love the taste of the Gaia product, the MMC Restore. Similarly, a lot of people complain about ginger burps with MotilPro. So if you don't like the experience of taking one, don't choose that one. And then the other factor is that some of these pills are a lot smaller than others and some are quite large. So if that is a factor for you and you're not really skilled at taking pills, you might want to choose something like Motility Activator or SIBOMMC that has very small capsules versus something like Acetal CH, GI Motility Complex, or MotilPro, which have very large capsules. So when people are in this 4% unicorn, hey, I like them all category, those are the 3 things that I would tell them to kind of factor in when they're choosing which one they want to be on for a while. Now, the remaining handful of percent of people, about 7% of people, end up saying, no, none of these Prokinetics really worked for me. And, you know, I have a lot of speculation of why that is. I've examined those cases and I have some opinions on why that might be. But the best way that I could explain it and keep it kind of broadly applicable in this video is that that probably means that directly regulating motility is not the biggest fish they have to fry. So, for example, if you have SIBO because you are ragingly hypothyroid and you refuse to take thyroid medication, there's no amount of Prokinetics that's going to cure you. You have to get the thyroid under control and maybe take some levothyroxine to get that under control, right? Like you can't band-aid something that is that grossly huge. Similarly, I've had people where they are blatantly malnourished. They are not getting enough protein. They're not getting enough calories. They're not getting any fiber. They're not getting any vitamins. And it's like, well, yeah, if you're grossly malnourished, no amount of trying to stimulate motility is going to work for you. You have to nourish your body and build yourself a healthy body in order for that machinery to work. So I don't want people to watch this video and think, oh, I just know I'm going to be in the 7%. I'm not even going to try this. But I do want to share that when this happens, I think that it just means that you have bigger fish to fry. And this is not going to be like the magic bullet that cures you. But you know what? To the 93% of people who find at least one product that really, really helps them, I mean, this is a huge, important tool. And if this tool helps you feel better so that you could do the lifestyle and nutritional things that you need to ultimately get better, then I think this is a wonderful tool. And I would encourage at least 93% of you to try Prokinetics and report back and let me know what your experience is with them. But Dr. Daneza, I want to try them all. I want to find the Prokinetic that's right for me. You do? Yeah. Well, I've got good news for you. Okay, so that was my little self-indulgence to be a dork, and now I'll go back to normal human mode. So seriously though, if you're sitting there thinking, yeah, this is neat and all, but I'm not a statistic, I don't want to go through and try each of these products and order them on Fullscript. I just want to get to the chase, do the speed dating, and figure out what I need to do to feel better. The good news is, FODMAP Freedom in 90 Days, my group coaching program, is opening for enrollment super soon, like a week and a half from now. So if you're watching this video within a week or so of it posting, you could join us for the January 2024 class. Now, if you are hearing this a little bit later, maybe you're watching this after January of 24, don't worry, I do open enrollment for FODMAP Freedom 2 or 3 times a year, but I do that and I don't have what's called a rolling enrollment where you can just join at any time, because this is a step-by-step A to Z process, and I want to make sure that I'm there to hold your hand the entire way. We have many live Q&As all throughout the week between me and my FODMAP Freedom coach, who's a nutritionist, and we have email support. We have a lot of built-in support to guide you through the journey and make sure that you can take the information that I'm teaching you and the experiments that I have you do, and you could really customize your own treatment plan in a way that's going to get you results. So if you're tired of feeling sick and tired, if you're tired of feeling bloated and indigestion and feeling like you don't have control over your gut, and you just are dying to eat onion and garlic and FODMAPs again, come over to the dark side. Come to FODMAP Freedom. We have onion, we have garlic, we have cookies. Some people get gluten back, and it's a rad time. And one of many tricks I have up my sleeve is this Prokinetic Speed Dating Challenge. If you want to check it out, there's no commitment at this point. It's just a wait list, but I'm going to link the wait list down below. And what you do is just give me your email. I'm not going to bombard you, I promise, but all that means is that you're going to be the first to know when we open our doors. So you're going to get first dibs on your seat, and that's really important because spaces are limited, and I actually had to cap the enrollment last time and say no to a few people. So if you want to get first dibs on your seat, get a super cool, awesome bonus gift when you enroll in early enrollment week, and ultimately heal your gut in the new year, come join us, come over to the dark side, come over to FODMAP Freedom. Like I said, we have onion, we have garlic, we have cookies, and we have Prokinetics. Hey guys, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe, ring the bell, click the like button, and leave a comment down below with the videos that you would like to see me do next. Doing all of those really helps support the channel and support my efforts in making as many videos as possible for you guys. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.